Was good, y'all? Track Kennedy with StudioSounds.com back with a brand new tutorial. In this video, I want to quickly just break down a beat I did on my personal channel a few weeks back. The beat has a dark R&B type vibe and is all original with no samples used. This beat actually has been leasing really consistently and bringing a lot of new people to my personal channel, so I figured some of you who might be trying to sell beats personally or build a YouTube following might find this helpful. R&B in general is a little bit harder to make in my opinion than trap, so it's a bit easier to sell these kinds of tracks and also build a lane for your sound since it's not so saturated. All sounds in this are from StudioSounds.com. I'll try to point out what was used as it comes up in the video. Without further talking though, let's play the beat from the top and jump into the making of it.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. Is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
So for this particular track, I started with a very simple chord progression in Omnisphere using the PD Faded Memories from The Rain, which is just an OVO inspired Omnisphere bank that we have at StudioSounds.com. This is the actual chord progression. This is what it sounds like. Pretty simple, but starts to give you that kind of dark, chill R&B vibe that is pretty popular these days. From there, I wanted to go ahead and just repurpose these same chords again and use them for basically a different section of the track. A lot of R&B is just layering and figuring out how to keep the track moving and interesting without doing too much to the point where somebody can't really sing over it. So that was really the whole goal here. But basically, once I had that, I went ahead and I just went to the pattern section, quick render as audio clip. I exported that pattern out, those chords, then I went ahead and I reversed it. So once I actually reversed the pattern, all my chords are in reverse order. So what I did was I went ahead and I just chopped it up, and then I basically just restacked them or rearranged them just so that all the chords match again. Then I went ahead and I added a volume envelope to this. As you see in the beginning, it doesn't even play, and then just kind of fades in and out through the track in just ways that I thought would sound good. The other thing I did to that was I went ahead and I pitched it up 1200 cents, and then I went ahead and I signed a effects channel to this, to that actual pattern, which was a 9, and I went ahead and I threw a gross speed on there with a 1 beat gate, a parametric EQ just to cut a lot of frequencies I don't need and make sure that the sound really isn't too bright from being pitched up that far, and then just a second EQ to trim out the highs a little bit further. These EQs aren't super powerful, so sometimes you might have to use 2 just to get all the frequencies out of there. But basically, when you combine those two sounds, is what you end up with. So once I had that, I wanted to go ahead and add kind of like a heavy bass line to it. So I used this sub from The Rain bank for OVO, the OVO sub 2, just to add kind of a nice heavy bass line to it using the root notes of the chords. So basically even 2 of the same notes. And let's go ahead and play it with the track so you guys can kind of get the idea. So really simple, but just kind of helps to tie it all together. From there, I actually wanted to go ahead and add like a lead line to it, which is pattern 3. Some of these pattern names might not correspond to the actual patterns on here just because I had to split it by channel later, so they'll be off by 1 or 2 numbers. So basically pattern 4 is the same thing as pattern 3 down here. But basically I used this lead from the rain called the OG lead just to kind of play a catchy little lead line over it, or that I thought was catchy. And here's what it sounds like. So I thought that was pretty cool, but I still wanted to add more effects to it. So what I did was I quick rendered it as an audio clip and threw it into the track as an audio clip down here. Then I went ahead and I actually assigned that to track 15. Threw a grow speed on there with a fade out and in. Just pulled the little midpoint up a little bit just so it doesn't fade all the way out. Then I threw a kind of a heavy reverb on it. So about a 2.8 or 2.9 second decay on that. The wetness level was about 80%, and the dryness level is still at 100, just so it still has its character a little bit. Diffusion all the way up, size to about 48, 45, 50 will be fine there. And that's basically all there is for the reverb. Then threw a little delay on there, and I believe this is either a 4-step or nope, looks like it's actually a 3-step delay on there. The ping pong section, so it'll move from speaker to speaker. Pan it to left or right, doesn't matter since it'll jump. And then just turn the volume down a little bit just so it'll fade out. And I just threw an EQ on there again, one for the bottom end to kind of carve out anything that's not needed down there, and then one for the top end just so it's not quite as bright as the actual sound is, but when you combine everything with the other sounds is what you end up with. So that's basically kind of almost pretty much the main track. There's going to be other stuff that kind of fades in through the verses and changes, but kind of the gist of the hook is right here. So I thought all that sounded good, but I wanted to kind of add more stuff to it to make it unique. So I found this little storm basically clip off of YouTube. It was like a ASMR type clip or whatever, and I just downloaded some of the sounds just to kind of add in here as kind of like a background noise, so you guys can kind of compare how it just sounded versus with the storm. So really simple, but just helps to add kind of like a new dimension to the beat. A lot of people don't kind of use stuff like this, but you can find a lot of different background noise that will fit into simple tracks like this and help fill them out without you having to really do much. Some stuff that I like to use is like restaurant chatter. You can find a lot of those that are royalty-free. Crowd chatter, just kind of depends on the track, or even like crowds cheering, stuff like that. You can use that to really help set the mood for a track. But once I had that, it was just kind of like a nice, deep, dark vibe. And I had an idea of flipping like a little voicemail message into it. So I found a little voicemail message on the internet, downloaded like the AT&T one, filtered a little bit, and just added it to the intro to help kind of build a theme for the track. So here's everything combined for the intro.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. Is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
So after we have the actual intro, we have like this little transition piece that I forgot to talk about. This is from Omni again, and this is just kind of like a little cinematic swell, and I believe this is actually from The Omen. Could be wrong. Yeah, this is actually from The Omen. This one has really, really great effects in it if you're looking for cool transitions and whatnot, but it's basically just one note by itself. Just helps to build a nice suspense, moving it from the actual intro into the verse. For the verse, it actually is really, really simple right here in the beginning. It's basically just adding some drums and a second melody. The drums are really self-explanatory kind of, so I'll just try to show you guys the patterns and then just kind of move through them so we're not wasting a bunch of time explaining stuff that's pretty simple. If you guys have any questions about the actual drums, though, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you guys. But here's what it sounds like. Here's the kick. So I'll just stop it right here quickly. This actual hi-hat has like a slight little delay on it. So it's like a slight little delay, just give it a little bit of movement, and then just a quick EQ to cut any of the bottom end. But it's just a simple 808 hat that you guys probably have all heard, probably all have in your kits. And then from there, we also have this simple little pluck from Serum. Actually, it's a bell. It's called Blue Crystals, and this is from Glass House, which is our black type theme bank for Serum. And we actually have more Serum banks on the way for you guys who have been asking. But by itself, this sounds like this. And that's on effects channel 12, so it has a gross beat here playing a half speed. And it has just a bunch of basically filters, EQs on it. Just kind of get rid of a lot of frequencies I don't need. And then it also has a heavy reverb on here. Here's kind of the settings I used. Kind of take a look at anything you might want to copy. And then it has a pancake effect on it that I just kind of turned down so it's not all the way to the left or to the right, just a little bit more subtle. But this is just an auto panner, just to make it a little bit more interesting. But when you combine it with the track, that's what you end up with. So really, really simple. And then I also added a second bass line in here, which is the exact same notes. But if you take a look at this, and this one just connects, and this one actually drops out to make room for the melody a little bit more. But when you combine everything for the verse, what you end up with. So that pretty much covers the first part of the hook. Let's jump to the second section. I'll show you guys the next part. So the next version of the actual verse is basically just the same thing, but it has just a couple of more extra elements to make it a little bit more busy. So the very first thing is we take pattern 12, which is just the blue crystals patch that I just showed you guys. And it's moved basically over here to pattern 10, playing a slightly more complex melody. So it's kind of playing this instead. Combined with the track. Helps make it a little bit more melodic and just make it a little bit more busy. From there, I want to just add a second snare to it, so I add these layer bottles from the Sermon drum kit. So just playing a D, and it's actually truncated, so if you want to go in here, you want to turn all these to the left and just your hold to the right, and that way the sound will cut off as soon as it's let go. But by itself, this is what it sounds like. And with the track, from there, I have another pattern in here, which is actually just a drum pattern. This is one thing that I like to do, is like I'll go ahead and combine all my drums into one pattern before I actually split it by track. And I'll go ahead and I'll export that pattern out like I did here. Let me actually just turn the effects off so you guys can hear it. So this is basically just a drum pattern. And I just rendered it as a pattern, rendered it out, went ahead and pitched it all the way down to kind of end up with something like this. Then I threw basically 2 EQs on there just to make it more into like a perk type sound to make sure it's not going to take over too many frequencies of the track, and just used it kind of to help keep the track a little bit busier for the second part. And then from there, it basically just transitions back into the hook section that I showed you guys earlier. Only difference is that this little pattern is playing on top again. Everything else is virtually the same. Just get rid of the voicemail message for the hook section. And that's pretty much this entire beat. So I hope this inspired you. I hope it helps some of you guys make some sales or helps you with your own channels. Feel free to let me know in the comments what other kind of videos you'd like to see. Please make sure if you leave a request for a video that you put an artist and a song name, just because a lot of people have different sounds depending on what song you're looking at. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Again, my name is Track Kennedy. Until next time, studiosounds.com.